students, I welcome you all back to my YouTube channel English with Ease. I am Shyam Panchal and I'm going to give you this lecture on behalf of Takshila Model Senior Secondary School. So students, I hope that you all are fine and I hope that you will be fine. So with this, today we are going to discuss chapter of English grammar, and the title of this chapter is Models. Students, before I move on to the discussion of our present day topic, let me just tell you something about models. There are many students who pronounce this word as modals. So students, make sure that the pronunciation of this word as modals is absolutely wrong. You have to pronounce it as models. So students, what are models? Models are the auxiliaries which tell the mode of action. So models are the auxiliaries. Students, last time I delivered a lecture on the topic subject-verb agreement. I hope you might have attended it. So students, this time in that lecture I explained to you about the primary auxiliary verbs. Primary auxiliary verbs are be, do, have, and we studied about various forms of verb be, verb have and verb do. If you have not attended that lecture, I suggest you to watch that lecture once again. And I have just given you the link of that video in the comment box. So students, here, like the primary auxiliary verbs, models are also auxiliary verbs. And these auxiliary verbs actually tell us the mode of action. We will know how it actually expresses the mode of action. Apart from that, they also express various things such as permission, possibility, suggestion, request, threat, obligation, etc. So in the first place, models tell the mode of action. For example, I should take a rest now because I'm very tired. So here, in this sentence, the principal verb is take. I should take what? Rest. Here, what is the manner of this action denoted by the verb take? It is giving what? It is giving a kind of suggestion. It is an advice. So I should take rest because I am tired. It is kind of advice that I'm giving to myself that I should take a rest now. So similarly, models express various meanings such as permission. The models can be used to give permission, take permission, show possibility, and give suggestions, making requests, as well as showing threat and showing obligation. So in this lecture today, we will read which modal auxiliary verbs express which things. A few of the things have been mentioned here. So students, we have few important models, the models that we are going to cover in this lecture. So here, first of all, we have can and could, may and might, will and shall. So as usual, I always try to divide my whole chapter into two parts. This time also I'm going to divide this chapter models into two parts, and in the first part we are going to discuss about these 6 models: can, could, may, might, will, shall. And this is for the second part. In the second part of this lecture, we will discuss must, need, dare, should, would, ought, used and have to. So students, let us get ready to work with models. So students, here we have nature of models. Before we move on to the functions that the models do in a sentence, let us first of all take into consideration nature of models. So what is the nature of models? The first point says that models are never used alone. Alone, used alone here means that modals are always followed by a main verb, by a principal verb. For example, I have written this group of words. So, do you think it makes any sense? No, it does not make any sense. Why? Because there is an omission of main verb in this sentence. Though we have used can here, yet it is unable to give complete sense. It is unable to give complete sense unless we use what? A main verb to it. And the main verb can be they can play hockey. So when we use play, the main verb in this sentence, this can as a modal is able to give complete sense. So when we say they can play hockey, this gives sense. So if this point here satisfies the condition that if modals are used alone, I mean without any main verb, they do not make any sense. So modals are never used alone. They always take after them what? A main verb. So students, here the second point is that modals are never affected by the number and person of subject. So modals are never affected by the number and person of subject. It is in the last lecture that I gave you on grammar, that was subject verb agreement. I told you that subject of a sentence always makes an agreement with its verb in number. But here modals are not affected by the number. For example, whether it be first person I, whether it be first person we, whether it be second person you, whether it be third person he, she, it or they, we are going to use the same model to convey the same meaning as can. So students, here I can, we can, you can, he can, they can means modals are not affected by the person. This is called the person, and the number. Number here means this is singular number, this is plural number, this is again singular and plural. We can use you for both the numbers. Here he, she, it are singulars, whereas they is plural. So modals are not affected by either number or person. Whether the subject is in singular number or plural number, we are going to use the same model, right? If we are supposed to use should, we will use should for both the numbers, right? If we are supposed to use shall, we will use shall for both the numbers, right? In order to convey the particular meaning, and the meanings we have already discussed in the beginning of this lecture. A modal can express various meanings such as permission, suggestion, ability, obligation, right? So students, this is the second point, and now let us move on to the point number 3. The point number 3, modals don't have infinitive form. Infinitive form, we discussed it in the lecture subject verb agreement. Infinitive form is called 2 plus v1, right? 2 plus v1. So modals do not have this 2 plus v1 form. Means if I say I have written here they should to play chess here, this 2 plus infinitive form of the verb does not make any sense here. So we simply come to the generalization, a generalized fact that this is modals do not have infinitive form. There are few specified modals which take infinitive form of the verb, and these models are ought to, then there have to, means to is already included or associated with these models. So we simply can say that after these models we always use first form of the verb. Hence the simple rule says that models do not have infinitive form of the verb. But these models ought to, have to, has to, these models already have to associated with them. So after the use of these models we always use first form of the verb. But actually this is not called the infinitive form of verb. So here students, this is the third point that satisfies our generalization, that is models do not have infinitive form of verb. So here when we exclude this two, it makes sense they should play chess now. So students, here we have studied about three points which fall under the category of nature of models. So before we work with the functions that the models do, we must know about the nature of models. Let me just summarize these 3 points once again. The first one is that models are never used alone. Means models always take main verb after it. Second point, models was models are not affected by the number as well as the person of the subject. The subject that the models follow, they are not affected by its number or its person. And the third point that we have just discussed, it is that models do not have infinitive form of verbs. So students, now let us move on to the function of models. Function of models. So in this function of models heading, we will first of all read or study the functions of can. Students, can, we have the first model that we are going to study. We are going to read about its uses, about the meanings that it can convey when it is used in a sentence. So here first of all, can is used to show what? Ability, capacity and power. So can is used to express ability, capacity or power. For example, I can speak French. This sentence shows what? It shows ability. This is my ability that I can speak French. So here I have used model can to express what? Ability. Some more examples of ability are, I can teach you, this is my ability that I can teach you, and they can make tea, this is their ability that they can make tea, right? So then there is he can walk. He can walk with ease. With ease, again without any difficulty. So he can walk with ease. Here this can shows ability, means he is able to walk with ease. He is able to walk with ease. So can be replaced with able to. So he is able to walk with ease. So students, then there is the example of capacity. For example, they can lift this heavy box. This is not just showing the ability, this is showing what? Power or capacity, right? Or this box cannot hold 5 pens. This is the capacity of the box. That the capacity of the box does not allow it to hold at least more than 5 pens, I think, right? So here we have just discussed that can is used to express ability, capacity and power. Then can is also used to express what? Permission. But make sure, students, this permission can expresses permission, but what kind of permission? Only informal permission. And here permission means what? Taking and giving. So can is also used to give permission and take permission, but in informal way. So what does here informal way mean? Informal way, like especially this is a way of talking to someone. Whenever we are talking to our friends, the people who are just junior to us, right? So we just talk to them in informal way, right? So whenever we are going to give permission to any friend of ours, whenever we are going to take permission from any friend of ours, we will use what? Can, for giving or taking permission, right? For example, can I come in? Amit? I suppose Amit is my friend, so I am just asking him if I can come in. So what I will say, can I come in, Amit? So I'm using what? I'm using can. And now the third thing that can expresses is possibility. Possibility. Third point. Possibility. But make sure can expresses possibility with the word anyone. Mostly with the word anyone. For example, it can happen to anyone. There is a possibility that whatever has happened, this can happen to anyone. Let us take next example. This is anyone can make mistakes. Anyone can make mistakes. Here can and can, in these two sentences this can shows what? Possibility. So we just here come to the generalization, to the fact that can shows possibility, but it is especially with the word what? Anyone. So students, here we have just discussed that can be used to express what? Permission, ability, capacity, power and possibility. So students, here we have just done the use of can. Now let us move on to the use of could. This is the second model, auxiliary verb. So here we are going to discuss could. Could is the past form of can. It is the past form of can. So could can be used to express ability, power, capacity, permission in past tense. So it is used to express what? Ability, power and permission in past tense. Students, permission again informal permission, not formal. For example, when it shows ability and power, make sure that the principal verb in the sentence should be in past tense. For example, let us take this example for consideration. Here, when he was 10 years old, he could swim faster. Again, this could shows possibility, but this could shows ability, but it is in past tense. And as I told you that ability and power will be shown by could, but the main verb, especially the main verb in the sentence should be in past tense. Here the main verb, that is was, it is an auxiliary verb, this is in past tense. So here the ability will be shown using the past form of can, that is could. So when he was 10 years old, he could swim faster. When I was in school, I used to speak English fluently, but this is the ability. I used to speak English fluently, but over a period of time, I haven't been in touch with English, and that is why I do not speak as much uh, fast or as much fluently as I used to spoke when I was in school. So students, here could is used to express ability, power and permission, especially informal permission. For example, I asked Ravi if I could use his pen. So students, here I asked Ravi, my friend, if I could use his pen. So here I have used could for permission. I asked Ravi if I could use his pen. So for taking permission in the past, we use could in place of can. Especially what kind of permission? It is informal permission. And we will read ahead which model we use when we express permission, especially in formal way. In which way? Formal way. So students, here we have studied the use of could. Also could is also used to express one more thing, that is polite request. Polite request. For example, could you give me your pen? Could you give me your pen? Could you please help me? Could you please move a bit? So these are the examples of polite request. Here we are just making a request to someone for something. So students, here we have just done the use of could. Now let us move on to the next modal auxiliary verb. The next modal auxiliary verb we have is third we have is may. May. May is used to express what? It expresses first possibility. What is possibility? Students, possibility means that something can either happen or not. Simply we are not sure whether an incident will happen or not. Means there are chances. It may happen as well as may not. So this is called possibility. But make sure that may is used for greater possibility. Possibility. That also means likely to happen. Likely to happen. Means if we say he may come today, that means it is likely to happen that he will come. But if I say he might come today, here might is used to express remote possibility. Remote possibility means lesser possibility or less possibility than may. So if I say he may come today, that means the possibility is greater and he will come, or he may come, the possibility is greater than this sentence. He might come today. He might come today. There is a remote possibility, means the chances of his coming are very low, but here the chances of his coming are very high. So students, here we come to know that may is used to express possibility, but this is greater possibility, means this possibility is likely to this incident or this event is likely to happen, but when we use might for possibility, this event is not likely to happen, or there are very little chances of this incident that it may happen. So the second use for may is, first is possibility, second is again permission. So may is used to express permission, taking permission from our seniors. This is what kind of permission? This is formal permission. This is formal permission. The permission that we read about in Ken, it was informal, but this one is a formal permission. Whenever we are talking to our teachers, our elders, or someone who is just senior to us, we just use for taking or giving permission what? We use may in place of can. For example, may I take this book? Here I suppose that I am asking somebody to use his or her book, and that someone or that somebody is just senior or elder to me. So may I take this book, right? And that person, if wants to give the reply, he can just simply say what? Yes, you may. Yes, you may. Simply it is a formal way of giving permission to someone. If that person says yes you may, that simply means the person allows me to use that book or take that book. So students, here we come to know that may is also used to express permission, but this is formal permission as compared to can. Can is used to express what kind of permission? It is informal permission, and I have told you the difference between formal and informal way of taking permission or giving permission. So students, here we have discussed 2 points. Now let us move on to the point number 3. One more thing students that I have just got to tell you is may I and might I. May I and might I. So students, here may I and might I, again the same thing. May I is used for permission or for request. When we request somebody, we take permission from someone, and this might I shows more polite. It is a more polite way of taking permission. Means when somebody says might I, that simply means the person is showing hesitation. The person is just quite hesitant about making that request. If I say may I use your pen, I'm just confident about asking this. But if I say might I use this pen, if I just say might I use this pen, or might I use your pen, might I take your pen, that simply means I am not ready to make this request. Maybe I am not very confident. I am just very excited. I'm just very hesitant. I hesitate to make this request. So students, now we have the third use of may, that is to express wish. So may is also used to express wish. For example, may you pass this time. And students, in this kind of use of may, we always use exclamatory mark at the end of the sentence. So whenever a sentence expresses wish, we always use may in the beginning, and the sentence ends with an exclamatory mark. Few more examples, like may the corrupt leader die. This is also a wish. may God kill that corrupt leader. So here these two sentences show what? Wish. And for wish we always begin the sentence with may and it ends with exclamatory mark of exclamation. The next use of may is used to express purpose. Purpose with the conjunction so that. Students, here I'm going to give you an idea. Here I'm just going to give you a trick. The trick says if before so that there is the main verb in present tense. So after so that we always use what? May. If there is the main verb in past tense, so after so that we use might. This is a general rule. Let us take an example. He works hard so that he dash pass. So students, here we come to know that the main verb in the sentence is in present tense. This is works, shows present tense. So after so that we will use what? May. But why? The reason is he works hard so that he may pass. What is his purpose? His purpose is to pass the examination, and that is why he works hard. So may is used to express purpose. When the main verb in first sentence is in present tense, we use may after so that. If the main verb is in past tense, we use might after so that. Again, if I just change this work into worked, this becomes past tense now. So he worked hard so that he might pass. Now may will be converted into might. So he worked hard so that he might pass. Students, so here we have just discussed the use of may, and we have also taken into consideration the use of might, but we will also read might separately. So students, here we have the fourth model, that is might. Though I have already discussed few points about might. First one is possibility. It expresses remote possibility, less possibility in comparison to may. Might is used to show purpose, especially in past tense, because we know that might is the past form of may. So since it is past form of may, so purpose will be expressed in past tense using might. Similarly, possibility will be expressed in past tense using might, and permission also. So students, for formal permission, especially when the main verb is in past tense, we always use what? Might. Let me just give you an example for that. He asked his mother if she might let him use her phone. So this is a sentence I have written on board. He asked his mother, so that person asked his mother whether his mother would let him use her phone. So he asked his mother if she might, here might again for permission, if she might let him use her phone, if she might let him use her phone. So students, here this is an example of permission, asking for permission in the past tense, especially the formal permission. So we have also discussed the use of might, and now let us move on to the fifth use, that is will and shall. So students, the very first thing that I want to tell you about will or shall is that will we use shall with first person I and we to show simple future. Simple future. Simple future tense. We use shall with IV to show simple future tense, and we use will with second person, that means you, and third person, that means he, she, and it. Again, to do what? To show what? Simple future tense. So if we want to just make a sentence in simple future tense, we just use IV with shall, and you, he, she, it means second and third person we use with will, and it shows what? Simple future tense. So in order to show an event that will happen in future, we use will and shall. With I or we, with the persons first person is with the first person singular and plural we use shall, and with second and third person we use will. But when we want to express certain meanings using these will or shall, and these meanings such as determination, then there is threat, then there is promise. If you want to express the determination, threat and promise using will or shall, we just interchange the use of persons with them. For example, if I say so students, here I have written two sentences. Now let us discuss these sentences. She shall get a bicycle. Though it is very uncommon use of shall, we generally use will with third person pronouns. But here we have used what? Shall. So as in the beginning I told you, when you were about to discuss this will and shall, I told you that apart from the use when they show simple future tense, they also express some various meanings, and these meanings are determination, threat, promise and willingness. But it happens only when these will and shall are interchangeably used with some other persons. Especially we say that we use shall with I and we, but we can also use shall with you, he, she, it, and we can use will with I and we. So when we are just interchanging their use, what actually happens, they express these meanings: determination, threat, promise and willingness. So here in this example number 1, she shall get a bicycle. This shows what? This shows promise. So that is, here we have sentence number 2. If you don't leave the company of bad boys, if you don't leave the company of bad boys, what will happen? You shall be punished. This is what? This is threat. This is threat. So if we say she will get a bicycle, it is an incident that will happen in future, right? But if similarly if we say you will be punished, simply that is something that I'm stating. There is nothing like threat being expressed in the sentence, right? So whenever we use shall with I and we, it shows simple future, and we use you, he, she, it means third and second person with will, it shows simple future. But when we use them interchangeably, for example, you shall, he shall, she shall, it shall, they shall, and I will, we will, it shows these meanings. So students, with this we have discussed the use of will and shall. I hope that I have tried to explain these things to you. If you have any query regarding these uses, you just can write me in the comment box. So students, now we will just take an exercise. I am going to write few sentences in board and we will just try to find out their answers. So students, here we have 7 sentences on board. So let us try to find the answers of this practice exercise. So students, here the first example we have is he said that he dash walked 20 kilometers at a stretch. So he walked 20 kilometers at a stretch. This is the ability of the person that he can walk 20 kilometers without stopping. Means once he starts moving, once he starts walking, so he does not stop unless and until he covers 20 kilometers. So students, he said that he can walk 20 kilometers at a stretch. If we use can, this will not be proper here. Why? Because the principal verb is in past tense. Since the principal verb is in past tense, so for ability we will use could here. And it shows what? It shows ability. Or capacity as well. So second is the sky is overcast. Overcast, students, overcast here means that the clouds are visible in the sky. Dark clouds are visible in the sky. So we know that whenever the sky is overcast, when there are dark clouds in the sky visible, so there is a possibility, there is a greater possibility that it will rain, right? So similarly in the second sentence there is possibility. And we have already discussed what is there that we use for possibility. For possibility we either use may or might. We use might for remote, means less possibility, and may for greater possibility. So here the possibility is greater. Why? Because the sky is already overcast, right? If I say the sky is clear, it dash rain. Sky is clear means there is no sign of raining, so there is less possibility, so we'll use might. But since the sky is overcast, we'll use what? May. So the sky is overcast, it may rain anytime. Now let us move on to example number 3. That is she asked if she dash she the director. Asked here we can see that there is a permission. Somebody is asking for permission, especially in past tense, because the main verb is in past tense. So for permission we use what? For informal permission we use can or could, and for formal permission we use may or might. May or might. So she asked if she dash see the director. So the person wanted to see the director. So here the formal permission will be taken into consideration, and she asked if she might. Might will be the right answer. Why? Because for permission in the past, in place of may we use might. Now the fourth sentence, accidents dash happen to anyone. Here again the possibility is shown in the sentence. It is possible that accidents can happen to anyone, and there is the word can. I told you while I was explaining to you the use of can, that can is also used to express what? Possibility, and especially with the word anyone. So here can will be used. Now we have the fifth example, I dash file a case of defamation against the paper. Here the word defamation means criticizing somebody's status or defaming somebody, right? So defamation, defaming somebody means speaking something bad about someone, especially by writing, or writing something wrong about somebody in the newspaper. So here the defamation means somebody's status, somebody's personality is being criticized about. So students, here I dash file a case of defamation against the paper. Here the person is just giving what? He is giving a threat. So this sentence shows what? Threat. And in the condition, especially when there is a threat being shown in the sentence, we use what? We use shall. Am I right? Shall we use shall here? No. If I say I shall file a case of defamation against the paper, it shows a simple future tense. There is no threat. If you want to express the uh, ideas of threat or meaning of threat, we shall use what? Will with it. So we will say what? I will file a case of defamation against the paper, because if I use only I shall, this shows only what? This shows simple future, only an incident that will happen in future. So students, here the next question is question number 6. Dash I open the door. Yes, when I was explaining to you the use of will and shall, I just forget to tell you one more use of shall. Shall is also used to express suggestion, and especially with this shall I or shall we. Shall we means when I ask somebody, shall I just bring you a glass of water, so I just want that person, I just want to ask that person if that person wants me to go and bring him a glass of water. Means I'm just asking that person the suggestion if he or she wants a glass of water. So this is called the use of expressing suggestion, especially with the use of shall. So shall I open the door means I'm asking that person if that person wants me to open the door. Means if I'm just asking for a suggestion from that person if he wants me to open the door. So shall I open the door? Shall we go out? Shall we go out is another example. Means I'm just asking for a suggestion if we should go out and enjoy ourselves with. So here 6 point says shall I open the door. Then there is he ran fast so that he dash catch the bus. So here the conjunction so that is visible, and we already studied in may and might section that may and might is used to express purpose, and when before so that there is present tense we use may here, and before so that there is past tense we use might here. And here this is the second form of the verb run. So ran is the second form and it shows past tense, so here we will use might. So he ran fast so that he might catch the bus. So students, here we have discussed these 7 examples, and I hope that these 7 examples will be quite helpful for us to understand the 6 models that we have discussed in this part number 1 so far. And at the end of the part 2, I'll be taking few exercises of editing and omission. That these are the kind of exercises that we are going to face in our exams. So students, till we begin the part number 2 of this chapter, I thank you all for watching this video.